Look, this is one of my favorite parts, seriously. Part 4, equipment financing.
So here we're starting to get into, how the banking process really looks for an individual. And the goal is to flesh that out with some numbers. And this is the part of the book. And we had some numbers in part 3. There's even more in part 4. And what Nelson's going to show is the impact of weaning yourself off of the commercial banking system and financing equipment, financing what you would pay for anyway through your own system, through your own policy. And so the example he uses is a logger. Guy's doing very well in the logging business. And he sets up an IBC style whole life policy. And then Nelson shows what happens as he finances more and more equipment through his policy rather than through the financing company.
Nelson says early in this section, now that the fact has been established that dividend paying whole life insurance structured this way has all the characteristics needed for banking, then we go into this example. And I think that, and I'm pointing that out because if that fact has not been established as you're going through the book, you need to back up to the grocery store. You need to back up to the human factors or the very beginning and start over if you have to.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a beautiful example. I think it isolates clearly that the actions of the owner of a policy have a greater bearing on the results than even the insurance company. It's one of my favorite parts of the book, right? I use it a lot. It just made sense to me when I first read it, and worked through the numbers. Now I had to work through the numbers several times, with Nelson in his 10-hour seminars. I mean, it's not necessarily that apparent until you get behind the numbers and kind of understand what's going on mechanically with that policy. And you need a coach to do that, in my opinion. But we're talking about the logger. We got a logger in Eastern North Carolina, very profitable, just like you said. He's in the logging business, knocking it out of the park, and he's replacing a logging truck every 4 years, right? And he has 4 logging trucks, 2 bulldozers, and a tree shearer. Okay. The logging trucks he replaces every 4 years. The bulldozers cost twice as much as the logging truck. The tree shearer costs twice as much as a bulldozer. All right. Now the guy's doing very well in the logging business, but he is financing that equipment through Associates Finance, and they're making a really good living off of him. And he's just a really good logger, right? I'm just saying the banking entity, the third party lender is probably making more off of him than he is in the logging business. I don't know. Okay. So in the illustration number 1, he pays in $40,000 a year for 4 years. And you go to the right, and he has, at the end of the 4th year, $157,000 in cash value. He doesn't pay another premium in year 5 and beyond. And then he starts taking income at the end of age 65. And he takes a good income until Nelson kills him at age 85. Right. So you're looking at those numbers. In illustration number 1, he accumulates about $1.5 million in cash value. And I'm using round numbers, no question. Right. There's a $71,000 dividend in that year. The numbers get so big, you almost have trouble believing them. Okay. Well, he takes an income of $92,000 a year. Nelson kills him at age 85. And the income that he's taken is withdrawals. It's taxable income once he withdraws above his basis. Okay. But Nelson keeps the cash flows equal throughout all the illustrations. All right. Now, at age 85, he's taken out $1.6 million more than what he put into the policy, and leaves, I think, $2.4 million in death benefit to the next generation. Not a bad retirement plan. I mean, he's doing very well in the logging business,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Well, Nelson tells him, and look, there's a financing sheet on there. It's a replication of the financing sheet. The gentleman is financing $52,600 every 4 years on a financing truck, and he's paying Associates Finance $1,500 a month.
Yep.
Right? So that's $18,000 a year. So if you look at line 5 on illustration number 2 to the left, he doesn't pay a premium after the 4th year, but in year 5, there's shorthand for 52.6 out, 18 in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pays that loan back over a 4-year time period. Just exactly what he was doing to Associates Finance, right? Okay. And now you look at illustration number 2 compared to number 1, he's got about $500,000 more in cash value, right? Using the round numbers. And he takes $100,000 in income the first year, and then $125,000 in income until he's age 85. All right. Now, look, the dividend scale didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance company didn't pay him any more interest on his cash values. All he did was finance one truck every 4 years through his life insurance policy. Well, he was financing the truck anyway with Associates Financing.
Yeah.
Right. And now the profit that was going to Associates Finance is now going to him. And is he paying the insurance company interest? Of course he is. He was paying Associates Finance interest.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to get a loan and not pay any interest? And if you own the company, right, and that's a mutual company, so the policy owner is part owner, do you want your company to be profitable?
I would prefer that.
So how about the insurance company give you an interest-free loan, and we own a policy with the same company? They give you an interest-free loan.
You can make up the difference for me?
No, but I'll loan you the money. I digress a little bit. In the illustration number 2, he's taken out $2 million above what he put into that policy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he still leaves about $3 million to the next generation. So if you look between illustration number 1, 2, 3, and 4, everything goes up by about $500,000. The cash value goes up by about $500,000 at the end of age 65.
Mm-hmm.
He takes out about $500,000 more in income, and then he leaves about $500,000 more to the next generation. Now, you tell me banking is not the most profitable business in the world, right? Okay, so illustration number 3, he just finances 2 trucks. Illustration number 4, he finances 3 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Illustration number 5, he's financing 4 trucks and a bulldozer. And it takes him a while to be able to even do that.
Right.
All right. Now, the insurance company did very well in illustration number 1.
No, with no financing, just
no financing.
Yeah.
The insurance companies do very well. All right. Well, his actions caused his policy to do better. And so he's just now performing the banking function as his business needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Through a dividend-paying whole life insurance. Now, the financial gurus gave Nelson, the book was printed in 2000. Okay. The financial gurus and insurance agents and advisors were giving Nelson a hard time. So in 2010, he adds illustration number 6, right? Because he got tired of hearing, well, you can't do that today. Right. Interest rates have come down. Dividend scales have come down. You can't do that today. Well, you know what's happened since 2010 to interest rates?
They've stayed down.
And dividend scales, they've come down.
Yeah.
And so you still have a bunch of financial gurus, agents, and advisors, and they say, you can't do that, Ryan. You can't do that. So illustration number 6 was created and added to the book in 2010. And it just clearly, in illustration number 6, should be compared to illustration number 2 because he's demonstrating a loan every 4 years.
Yeah. He's financing one truck.
One truck. All he did was pay a premium for 5 years instead of 4 years. Oh my goodness.
And the improvements are across the board much better.
You know, it's about the same between illustration number 6 and illustration number 2.
Mm-hmm.
right? The income in the first year is a little less on number 6, but then it's equal. And then he takes out just about as much income, leaves more death benefit. The numbers get bigger on the right side of the ledger, right? So it is better.
Yeah, I mean, and he is isolating. We talked about interest rates and whether you can do exactly what's on the illustration. And you've told me as soon as the illustration's printed, it's wrong. There's no way that exactly what you see on the page will be reality. The numbers are going to do what they're going to do, but the concept is valid across the spectrum, regardless of what interest rates are, regardless of what dividend scales are. And I know you tell me all the time, you can't control those rates anyway. Insurance company can't control them. You can't control them. The banker can't control them. It's what's happening in the broader economy, right? We could get into who influences interest rates.
You can't control the stock market either, can you?
Nope.
Or the bond market,
right?
Or any other market, right? But you can control what you do, and you can control your banking function as it relates to you and your needs, and your business, in your household. What's that word? What does equipment finance part 4? What do you get out of that, Ryan? What does it mean to you? What have you learned? What's most impactful about this section of the book to you?
Well, I feel like, especially in relation to part 3 kind of proved that taking control of the banking function is better in with a single instance, right? Comparing to the other potential methods. And now he's building out what it looks like over time. And it's sort of a dynamic approach now, where he's not only considering the purchase of one asset, like with part 3, now we're looking at the improvements as you continue to finance more equipment. And, I'm not a logger, but, I'm going to have plenty of expenses, and as business expands, hopefully those are business expenses. And by the way, if you're in business, those expenses only get bigger. Just as with the logger, he's financing a truck, and then the eventual tree shear is 4 times as expensive. And so the big takeaway for me is that as you do more of this, as you work your banking system more, you get the benefits of all of that. And I'm reminded of the Matthew principle in the New Testament, that to he who has, more shall be given. And it's absolute. You don't have to be religious or whatever to follow that and to understand the truth of that statement, because it's all he's doing. He's capitalized for the first 4 years. He's paid in the $40,000, and then all he's doing is working his system, and the fruits of all of that go to him. So what stands out to me, especially relative to part 3, is a more dynamic effect of what happens when you start financing more and more things rather than just the one car, rather than just the one purchase, whatever it is that you might be starting with. How about you? What stands out to you, James?
Well, he's not financing any additional things. He was financing those trucks anyway already. And it's not about interest rates, and it clearly demonstrates that the more of the banking function that you control as it relates to the profits accrue to you, right? The banker, and the control is incredible. But Nelson, we're not even talking about control here.
Right.
What if I don't know, what if the logging industry, was devastated and he had all of those loans outstanding at Associates Finance? And I'll bet you now, have you ever heard of Associates Finance?
Nope.
They're a legitimate company at one time. All right. And as a matter of fact, when I was growing up and when they were in Fort Worth, Texas, Associates Finance, you equated them to the Godfather. They were, and his people, they were not nice people, right? You didn't default on those loans. Right?
They get paid, huh?
They get paid. Right? So, hell, that's not any different than any other third-party lender, is it? But I digress a little. I love the equipment financing section because really, and I think that this part, you do absolutely need a coach that's educated, who understands the infinite banking concept, who understands this section, because when you may have to go through the numbers once or twice, or more to get real clarity on what's going on within that policy. But it's not about interest rates. He's paying that insurance company 8%, but he was paying associates 13. And you said it a minute ago, oh, well, interest rates are lower now. Well, interest rates go up and interest rates go down. It's not about interest rates. It's about controlling the banking function as it relates to you.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at equipment financing, it covers every principle that you need to master the banking function. Discipline, control, understanding the asset of life insurance, understanding the design of the policy that you own, what you can do, what you can't do, and then how to, as you said earlier, and we say often, that as soon as you push print on an illustration, it's wrong because interest rates go up and dividends go up and down. The action of the owner has a greater bearing on the result of that policy than even the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Now let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
All right. And there you can judge, I call it checking for figs, right? We have an original illustration, and then we have our action, whatever we financed throughout the years. It allows us to check for figs and to determine the result of our actions on our own policy.
Mm-hmm.
And once you experience that, it's nirvana. All right. You could give a damn less what the bank wants, doesn't
Right.
do, what the interest rate isn't, what the stock market doesn't do. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a peaceful life. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. It just occurred to me when you said that too, that who cares what interest rates are going to be? You're going to be banking regardless of whether the interest rates are up or whether they're down. You're financing something, and that the function is going to be performed. It's such a mind shift or a mindset shift. Like when I was coming from the academic side of things, just the fact that this is never spoken about, that it's just ignored. Maybe they don't know. I don't know what it is, but the idea that so much of the activity that really matters with money and finance is never talked about, and it's on the financing end. It's not about the interest rates and the rates of return and even in the investments. I mean, there's so much that's behind the scenes that we don't see that is exposed in equipment financing.
I don't know if everybody will listen one section at a time, but this is a pretty good place for you to, I think, talk about capital for a moment, because you brought up the word investment. Everybody's looking for the investment.
Yeah.
The investment world creates the investment, right? They make money on the creation. They make money selling the investment. They make money managing the investment. They make money driving the investment down to zero. And then they make money, buying the asset at the bottom, or the investment at the bottom, and redoing it. But to back up from that, and I digress a little bit, there's a little just in there, right? But the best comedy is based in truth.
Absolutely.
Okay. Talk to me about capital, a moment where the investment tries to attract the capital.
Sure. Yeah. So the economists have this idea that investment opportunity in general, will attract capital, will attract the financing, right? The good ideas out there exist, and then the people who have the money go and find them, right? That's the general dynamic between capital and opportunity. And that's leaked down into the financial and social and political world. And so the idea is you've got to go find the investments. And you're busy, you're working, and you're not very smart. So you better pay somebody who can go find the investments. That's the way that's why we have money managers. That's why we have high-level financial advisor type people who are going to go expertly manage the money for you. Right? And this is going to pay all sorts of returns, and you won't have to do anything. Just sit back and get something for nothing.
Count your money.
Yeah, right? What a nice life. These people, I guess I've never seen Shark Tank, the TV show Shark Tank. You think about that show, it is not the case that the people with the money are going and finding the people with the opportunities, with the inventions, with the new ideas. It's totally the other way around. The people with the ideas, the investment opportunities, the entrepreneurial opportunities, they go find the people with the capital. And who's beck and call? The people with the money in the room set the rules. And just like Nelson talks about the golden rule, those with the gold make the rules. And I think people will then say, oh, but they're the super wealthy and I'm not the super wealthy, and I'm just a different kind of person. I have my job and make what I can, and I'm just doing my best and that kind of thing. All true, I'm sure. But the fact is, you don't need to be the super wealthy in order to act in accordance with this dynamic of capital attracting investment or capital attracting opportunity. The mainstream financial mindset is that you go to school, get good grades, get a job, work hard, and then retire poor, because you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, which means you're retiring poor. That's the overall philosophy of the financial community. And that if you go walk into any major financial institution and ask for some advice, they're going to tell you some version of that, dressed up in nice language with pretty pictures. That's what you'll get. And most people want to retire because they hate their job to some degree. The only think of it this way. You're working hard all your life. You're developing expertise. You're developing wisdom and connections in your industry, ostensibly becoming more profitable over time, earning more income as you get older. And then you're going to quit at the most productive time in your life, when you could be mentoring the next generation, probably for a nice profit, when you could be starting other businesses with young up-and-coming other people, all sorts of opportunity. That's when you're going to quit. The only reason people would want to do that is because they want to get away from whatever it is they're doing. And I believe that the only reason people don't follow their dreams is because they don't finance their dreams.
Ooh.
In order to get out of that kind of lifestyle where you're doing something you don't truly enjoy, it's not your calling, it's not your passion, you don't mind it, you're going to go there, make a paycheck, feed your family, that kind of thing, pay the bills, all understandable. The only reason people don't switch from just doing that to really attaining what they want to pursue, what their passion is because they don't have the money. And the reason they don't have the money is because they haven't built the capital. And the reason they haven't built the capital is because no one's taught them that they need to finance these things. And the beauty of it is, if you build up capital, the opportunity will be attracted to you. You don't even need to go find it. Just like with Shark, the people who have the opportunity will come your way. Or you'll see an opportunity to to branch out from your industry and start your own shop, your own firm. You'll see an opportunity to go into business with a family member or a friend. You'll see an opportunity to travel somewhere, to maybe start a new life somewhere. Whatever it is, you could get as exotic or as, mom and pop on the corner as you want. No matter what the dream is, you have to finance it. And if you do that, then you'll enter into a sort of a purpose-driven, vocation-driven kind of life, where the last thing you'd be thinking about is quitting when you're at the top of your game. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, and then some. I was looking for simply, that was very good. I was looking for capital attracts opportunity.
Yeah.
Opportunity will just tear down your door when
Absolutely.
you have capital.
Yeah, Nelson says in his second book, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth, that opportunity will track you down.
Yeah.
He says in Becoming Your Own Banker that opportunity will come your way. And in his live seminars, he says that opportunity will hunt you down, and it will. It'll beat down your door.
He has used in his live seminars or said, opportunity will seek you out.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, it's like conveys it quite clearly, which is really opposite or not. It's the exact opposite of what mainstream economists present.
Right.
I have the perfect investment. It will attract capital.
Right.
No. If you have capital, the opportunity comes to you.
And what kind of life would you rather live? Do you want to be stumbling over people to try to find opportunity somewhere, to try to seek out the opportunity amongst all the other masses of people who are doing the same thing that you've been taught to do? Or would you rather sit back and have opportunity come your way and just implement the discipline to spend less than you make, build capital, and let it come to you?
I'm in. I want to. Please.